Welcome to the Forge, my wanton wildlings. I'm your creepsmith, and I hope you like my work.
Welcome back, wildlings. Typically, in our pursuit of knowledge, those seeking it want to remove as many variables as possible to focus in on one aspect of whatever question they are currently trying to answer, thus the use of controlled environment experimentation. This is not always available, however, and sometimes simple observation must suffice. Simply observing, however, can produce dangers of its own, as in tonight's appalling fustercluck, the Romanian Knowledge Experiment, by jpvl1. In 1960, Alexandru Sift, a well-known scientist, traveled to the forest of Hoia Baciu, located in East Romania. The Hoia forest had the reputation of being a hotspot for paranormal activity, the main reason for Sift's motivation. He wrote many notes about his experiences here, but many of them were found burnt upon his death in 1993. The notes that survived detailed his experiments on the forest with test subjects. In every one of his notes, he ended by saying, "Knowledge is harmful. Ignorance is bliss." 10 years later, the Romanian government developed an interest in the few notes that survived, so they sought to recreate his experiments. 3 men volunteered. They were told this was simply to see how an average person would manage to travel in foreign territory using only a compass and a light source. Of course, these were lies, as no sane man would volunteer if they knew what awaited them. They were also told that there would be a substantial reward should they succeed. The first test subject was brought by helicopter to the west zone of the forest at midnight. He carried with him a backpack, food, water, a compass, and an oil lantern with enough oil to last until morning. He was instructed to keep moving east until he hit a road which would lead him to a cabin where a few government agents awaited him. He was also told to stop every 30 minutes to record any and all events on a sheet of paper. He arrived at the cabin at 0200 hours. He handed the sheet to the agents and was driven to a nearby city where he was handed the reward. His sheet read the following: 030 hours. I stopped at a nearby creek to rest and eat. Being in a forest at night with only an oil lantern for a source of light really managed to scare the hell out of me. I thought I kept seeing more shadows than there really were. 0100 hours. I stopped at a little clearing to change the oil. I swear there must be something out here following me. I can almost be sure there was a shadow that wasn't from a tree, maybe an animal? 0130 hours. Now I'm definitely freaked out. I saw something staring at me in the distance. I only managed to see its silhouette, but as soon as I looked at it, it vanished. I'm starting to second guess this experiment. 0155 hours. I'm on the road. I can see the cabin from here. That thing from before kept following me. The more I walked, the more it got closer. Thankfully, I haven't seen it for a while, so I figure I'll just get to the cabin without any more delays. The first subject remained in an alarmed state for a few days afterwards, but soon returned to a calmer state. The second test subject was deployed in the exact same spot as the previous one on the following night. He had the exact same gear, except instead of an oil lantern, he had an infrared camera. He arrived at the cabin at 0500 hours. The agents noticed that he was physically and psychologically shaken. He was panting and crying in fear. His sheet read the following: 030 hours. This camera really doesn't help me navigate. I even fell a few times because of it. Almost everything I see is blue and black, except for the occasional red spot of an animal or a bird. 0100 hours. I don't know what the fuck you guys put out here with me, but it is not funny. I took a break to drink some water when I heard a rattle coming from deep within the forest. I took my camera to see what it was, but I can be sure that it was no normal animal. It was big, but hunched over. I couldn't make out its details since it was glowing bright red. I slowly walked away from it, never losing it out of my sight, even though it stayed completely immobile. I found a small ditch to hide in. I guess it's better to ride in here than out in the open. I'll quicken up my pace. The faster I get out of here, the better. 0430 hours. I'm sorry for not writing more frequently. I just never had the chance. Shortly after that last entry, I heard it walking towards me. I hid in a small cave and waited for it to pass. I took so long because of that. It didn't leave me alone. I'll probably not write anything else until I get to safety. The last thing I want is to be surprised by that thing while my guard is down. The second test subject was visibly stressed and was taken to a psychologist for 3 months. The third subject never came back. He was deployed in the same spot on the next night. He had the same gear, except he had a night vision camera. When the agents were leaving the shack, they noticed a worn and ragged piece of paper on their doorstep. It only had one entry. It read the following: 005 hours. If you find this, please tell my family I love them. These may be my last words. After I couldn't see the helicopter anymore, I turned on the camera to check my surroundings. I can see it 20 meters in front of me. It doesn't move as I write this. It doesn't even blink. It has no eyebrows. It's higher than any human or bear I've ever encountered, hunched like a gorilla, supporting its weight on the extremities of its limbs. I can't even call those things hands. It has fish-like eyes, no pupils, pure engulfing darkness. Oh God. It's tearing down the trees as it moves. After the conclusion of the experiment, the Romanian government placed an electrified fence and guard towers surrounding the entire Hoia Baciu forest. They made sure not to let anyone in or out. Huh. Well, in any population, there's a subset of people who prefer nature to urban environments, believing that they're more wholesome and peaceful. These people are fooling themselves. Stay scary, my wildlings. If you see something knocking over trees, run, and make the most of your nights.